They say wars are fought with weapons and won with strategy. But some battles don't leave scorch marks or wreckage. Some change you from the inside out. This isn't a story you'll find in a textbook or a declassified file. It's something far stranger and far more real. And after all these years, I think it's finally time to tell it. I've stood on the front lines of 100 alien worlds, long before their names ever made the public news feeds. I've seen things that would shatter everything you think you know. The real wars, the ones that decide the fate of entire species, they're fought in here, in the mind. And the things we fight, they're not just aliens with fancy tech or strange bodies. They are secrets, living, breathing secrets that can eat you alive. And when you've seen what I've seen, when you've felt your thoughts slipping through your fingers like smoke, you realize how fragile the mind really is. Today, I'm breaking my silence, and I'm going to tell you one of them. You won't find this story in any official military archive. The records are sealed. The witnesses were all reassigned, their memories written off as stress-induced delusions. But I was there. I was a sergeant in the 7th Orbital Infantry, stationed way out in the Kepler 186 system. Back in the mid-25th century, humanity was feeling pretty good about itself. We'd managed to terraform and colonize 3 planets in that system, a monument to our own ambition. Kepler 186f was the jewel in the crown, a paradise world. But our story, it starts on its smaller, quieter sister, 186e, a rugged little outpost for scientists and pioneers. Our first warning didn't come from long-range sensors. It wasn't a surprise attack. It was silence, and not the normal kind. This was an absence of thought. It started small, at a remote geological survey post. Their comms channel, usually buzzing with chatter and data, just went dead. When the first response team got there, they found everyone alive, perfectly healthy physically. But they were empty, vacant, just staring into space with no idea who they were, what they were doing, or even how to take a drink of water. It was like their minds had been switched off. We started calling it the silence. We had no idea what we were dealing with. We sent in armored divisions, psychic auditors, elite special forces. The silence took them all. It had no body, didn't show up on any scanner, left no energy trail. It was just a presence, a creeping psychic void that spread out from that first survey post, washing over the whole settlement. You'd see soldiers standing guard, fully armed, and then they'd just blink and forget everything. Their training, their mission, their own name. They didn't even panic. They'd just go quiet. How do you shoot a concept? How do you bomb an idea? This thing, that war, if you can even call it that, was a living nightmare. Our fleets hung in orbit above a planet they were powerless to help. Their cannons, totally useless. Down on the ground, those of us with even a hint of psychic resistance were told to hold the line, a line that wasn't even there. The toll it took, you'd feel it coming, like a cold pressure building at the base of your skull. It started with the little things. You'd reach for a word, and there would just be a blank space. You'd try to picture your wife's face back on Earth, and all you'd get was a smooth, featureless oval. I remember my CO, a man with a mind like a steel trap. He paused right in the middle of giving an order, just stood there for a solid minute. Then he turned to me, and his eyes were wide, with a kind of terror I've never seen before or since. He asked me, "Sergeant, what is a number?" I still hear his voice sometimes. Not the question, but the fear behind it. That helpless, childlike confusion, like watching the universe fold in on itself. He had forgotten the entire concept of math. The Salenti weren't just wiping memories. They were consuming the fundamental building blocks of thought itself. They drew energy from our order and knowledge. We figured it out. Too late. They were beings of pure, sterile logic. conceptual black holes that sustain themselves by absorbing structured information. Our battle plans, scientific formulas, languages, engineering schematics. To them, that was a five-star meal. Our organized, disciplined military way of thinking was their favorite food. The harder we tried to fight them, with logic and strategy, the stronger they got. It was a war we were designed to lose. The very act of fighting was feeding the enemy. We were broken, desperate. Then the order came down from high command. Prepare to sterilize Kepler 186e from orbit, contain the threat at all costs, even if it meant losing everyone below, just to stop the silence from spreading. We had 1 day left. It was like they were feeding, not on flesh, but on the very structure of thought itself. And that's when a junior comms tech stumbled on the answer. A kid, really. She'd been written off as unstable. They thought the stress had finally gotten to her. Her bosses thought she was having a total breakdown. She'd bypassed her secure military comms and was just listening to a messy, unencrypted, totally chaotic civilian broadcast from Earth. She told us that when she was listening to that mess, the silence backed off. It couldn't get a foothold in her mind. We didn't get it at first, but then it clicked. What's the one thing a creature of pure sterile logic can't possibly process? Illogic. Chaos. Raw, beautiful, human contradiction. It turns out that humanity's greatest strength, the very thing our other enemies always mocked us for, is our beautiful, maddening chaos. Our irrational hope, our pointless arguments, our art that doesn't do anything, our music that makes you feel things there aren't even words for, our stories of love and betrayal and pointless sacrifice. Our minds aren't clean, orderly hard drives. They're a swirling hurricane of conflicting ideas and feelings. And to the Salenti, that wasn't food. It was poison. That was it. Our last desperate shot, a weapon only humanity could ever build. We dropped all strategic communications. We turned every single comms dish, every speaker, every broadcast array on the planet and in the fleet right at the heart of the silence. And we didn't transmit battle plans. We transmitted us. We unleashed the entire sum of human culture as a psychic tidal wave. We blasted them with Shakespeare's tragedies and mindless reality TV. We hit them with Beethoven's Ninth Symphony right alongside death metal and nursery rhymes. Every pointless argument, every cat video, every awkward confession. We mainlined the chaotic, unfiltered, contradictory noise of what it means to be human directly into that pristine, silent void. The effect was instant, and it was violent. The psychic pressure didn't just stop, it shattered. We could feel them reeling, convulsing in our minds. Imagine trying to explain irony to a calculator. Now multiply that feeling by 1 billion. Their purely logical existence couldn't handle the sheer irrationality of it all. Hope, regret, faith, spite, laughter, grief. These things have no logical value, but they're the cornerstones of who we are. The silence, so absolute just moments before, was ripped to shreds by the beautiful, terrible noise of our civilization. It fled. It tore itself away from the planet and just dissolved back into the emptiness it came from. We didn't cheer. We didn't celebrate. We just sat there in the aftershock, trying to remember who we were before all this started. We won, but there was no glorious victory, no parade. The colonists on Kepler 186e were saved, but they were scarred forever by the psychic echo of what happened there. We learned a terrifying truth that day. The universe is filled with things that don't want our water or our land. They want our consciousness. And our greatest, most unique weapon, our messy, emotional, chaotic soul, is also a giant shining beacon for those kinds of horrors. Most people will never know what really happened out there, and maybe that's for the best. But if even one person hears this and starts asking the right questions, then telling the truth was worth it. The silence was only the beginning. There are still echoes out there of things we've done and things we've become. But that's a story for another day.